Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Cantey, and this is another episode of Living Enlightened Every Day. Last week, I asked the question, are you using your mind or is your mind using you? And well, many of you answered me that your mind is using you, and you wanted to know a little bit more about the practice of becoming the observer and a little bit more about the mind using us. So let's explore some more why and how the mind uses us and how we can gently turn the tables and experience more peace in our minds. If you like this, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe so you can keep up with us, and share it with a friend who's ready to have some more peace in their minds. So let's explore why and how the mind uses us a little bit more and how we can gently turn those tables, experiencing more peace in our minds and in our life, because it seems to have struck a chord with so many last week. In a world filled with diverse mystical traditions and spiritual practices, there seems to be this common thread that unites them all. They all point us towards our true self, the true nature of our being, the source of our consciousness, the beginning of our beginning. I call it the truth of our being. And in this truth, we discover that we are made in the image and likeness of God itself. We're not just the appearance. We're not simply the frail, limited human animal, but we're beings of immense love and power and peace, abundance, light, and joy. We are human beings. However, what stands in the way of our spiritual enlightenment often is that incessant mental noise and the continued sense of separation that we feel within that. So, as human beings, our minds are constantly filled with thoughts and perceptions, the majority of which we talked about last week are often judgments, attachments, reactions, and resistance. I call that the jar. We talked about staying out of the jar. This mental activity arises from the ego almost all the time. The ego is that sense of separation. It's a collection of beliefs that believes the ego, is a separate entity, separate from its source, separate from each other, separate from God. And because it is separate, it has to bolster itself. It has to compare itself and always come out on top. It has to protect the body. It feels that's its job. It has to protect in many strange and wonderful ways, I guess. But it's a set of beliefs, and a belief is just a thought that we have over and over again. And many of these thoughts and beliefs are conditioned culturally and throughout our society, that we are separate, finite beings, separate from source, from God, from each other, from our good. So the ego is always trying to manipulate, um, compare, to bolster its feelings of self-worth, strength, and value. We didn't talk about last week, the ego often wants to take us back to the past, past memories and events. And as we think about those past events, we relive them. So we experience, the glory days, right, of really good times, or we experience the feelings of, fear or anxiety in some of the bad times. So there's fear or joy that we relive, there's anger or pleasure. But while we're reliving those memories as if they were happening now. In other words, our heart rate rises, the blood pressure rises, we can feel tense or we can feel joyful and happy and, just reveling in that past glory of something wonderful that has happened. But what's happening as we're experiencing these past events or situations is that we're not present to right here, right now. The mind just loves to whisk us away into the past or the future. The future is always fun, right? What if this happens? What if that happened? What if that doesn't happen? What if I don't get the job or the man or the promotion or the prize? We have worry, fear, and anxiety. Again, the blood pressure is involved. The muscles are tensing based on something that hasn't even happened yet. We all know that worrying about something doesn't prevent it. It doesn't influence it in any way. It just uh, really makes us sick in our bodies. So where is the kingdom of heaven, or that which I call enlightenment? It's within, and it's right here, it's right now in this present moment. So when we're in the past, or when we're in the future, or when we're in the judgments, attachments, reactions, and resistance, we are not here now. And where is life living itself? It's like right here. And when is life living itself? It's right now, in this moment. So I pointed out last week that we can live perfectly happily without the ego, without a belief in separation. It's just a belief. We can believe that the earth is flat and live our lives accordingly. It's not going to help us much. Same with the ego. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but it, as we hold on to this false belief that is conditioning us, it's not allowing us to be present and to live fully. In other words, we can be awake to the truth of our being and think whenever we need to. And we will not suffer the thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the ideas of separation. Without the ego, we realize and experience that interconnectedness of life, the unity, the one thing that is always happening is life living itself. So the mental noise that seems to never cease uh, frustrates and challenges many spiritual seekers. and they find it very difficult to, quiet the mind. But the purpose of our spiritual practices is not necessarily to quiet the mind or to stop the mind or control the mind, but really it's more helpful to, for me, to understand the nature of mind and ego, and instead of trying to silence this noise through the mental activity of mind itself, I must stop thinking, or I must stop thinking these thoughts. Instead of using the mind to control the mind, we can simply redirect our focus towards connecting with the ever present source of consciousness and live from the unlimited perspective of spirit. Sounds easier, right? It is. It's just practice. We've been practicing a lot, the mental noise. We've been practicing a lot from the ego, from the beliefs of separation. It's just a new practice to see things a new way. But when we do, the noise ceases. Mind is available. It's there. It didn't go anywhere. But the incessant chatter that drags us from the present moment into the past or into the future or into the jar, that that stops. The mind is an integral part of our human experience, but the ego is not. Our belief in separation is not integral to our experience and to living a full, complete, happy life. When we try to stop thinking or control our thinking through mind, it's like trying to not think of the pink elephant. So if I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, you probably, I do, have an image of a pink elephant in your mind right now. We can't ignore its presence as long as we're trying not to think about it or control it with the mind itself. And it's a perfectly natural um, process to perceive through our senses the world of effects as we inhabit our bodies. It's actually a wonderful thing to watch a sunrise, to watch a butterfly, the flowers bloom in the springtime. It's amazing. So the key is to recognize the nature of mind and ego. For me, I am very thoughtful. So in my spiritual path, if you want to call it that, I had to have things make sense logically to me in my mind. And then my mind would just let go. It'd be like, okay, we're satisfied, we're happy. We can go to sleep now for a little bit. you know? And that's me. And maybe that's for you as well. Um, Most of our mental activity is this running commentary on the external conditions of our lives. It's not reality with a capital R. By connecting with the truth of our being, uh, the our innate nature, we can appreciate that mental noise for what it is, the sensory information that may or may not be helpful to our human existence at the present moment. If I look outside and I see an alligator in my swimming pool, I do live in North Florida, and it does happen. I just jump right into my body. The mind kicks in, fight or flight kicks in, and I look for the dogs and the kids and begin to solve in my mind a potential problem. So it's that natural process. But if I worry, at night or every day, every time I look out into the pool, is there going to be an alligator there today? Is it going to be safe? Is there going to be a cottonmouth or a spider? I don't know. I'm out of the present moment of what is a beautiful backyard with an interesting North Florida menagerie of critters lurking in the swamps nearby. And I'm creating, suffering in my mind through my mind just by thinking, worry, fear about something that isn't even happening right now. My heart rate raises, my blood pressure rises. I'm in fear of something that hasn't even happening, at least not for a while. So, as we dive into our spiritual practices, we begin to realize that the mental activity is not the ultimate truth. It's a construct of the ego, driven usually by fear, anxiety, and that desire for survival, competition. And through practices, we start to perceive ourselves beyond the limited human experience, beyond thinking that we're finite beings, and recognizing the essence of God living in, through, and as us, an essence that is eternal in nature, that is spacious, open, that is not located in time or space. And last week, some of you commented, I spoke about becoming the observer, and you wanted to know more about that. And of course, I talk about it a little bit in my book, and that is what I teach in my practice. It's just one of the things that changed my life. And I'd like to share with you sort of a little exercise that really helped me become that impartial, non judgmental seer, onlooker of what is happening. And that allows me to be grounded in the present moment and allows me to create changes where I want to be more connected, more loving, more peaceful, more joyful in my life. So it begins with the idea that we can recognize that we are not our body. I can look at my body and know that it is clearly not the same body I had when I was 2 or 12 or 22 or 52. Scientists tell us that there are organs and cells and tissues in our body that change completely every cell, every organ, every something, will change in 3 hours or 3 days or 3 months, 3 years, whatever it is. There are parts of my body that were never even there when I was 2. I mean, clearly, just the size of my body has changed. And it's easy to see that we're not our body, even the body that was here yesterday. So the body is not our essential nature. I have a body. I am not this body. So, who is the one who experiences the body? I can look at the sensations of my body, the feeling right now of my feet on the carpet, just that soft feeling, the feeling of the air conditioner blowing on my arm and the sun actually radiating on my other arm. These sensations haven't been here very long, and they're going to go very quickly. The feeling of hunger that comes and then goes, the feeling of being satisfied, full, and that feeling that comes and goes. So we can recognize that we weren't born with those feelings. They're new, they change, they come, they go. They're not essential to who I am. I am aware of the sensations that come and go. So, who is the one that is aware? it starts to become easy to see that we are not our thoughts, as we've been talking about the mental noise, the mental activity. Once we begin to pay attention, we can realize through our own experience, closing our eyes and watching a thought come, the thought that I'm talking too long. So I can engage in that thought. Am I talking too long? Is this too long? What is too long? Who says it's too long? What is long enough? I can just go on for half an hour with that one thought, chasing it around, having that dialogue in my head, right? I can go around and around and around. Or I can watch that thought come and go. Yeah, I am not that thought, because I'm going to have another thought and another one, and it's going to come and it goes. So our thoughts are not who we are. I'm not any thought that comes and goes, and all thoughts come and go. I can observe the thought. I'm the observer, the one in which the thought arises and then dissipates. It's tricky for some, but as we go through this process, we start to realize that even those things that happen to us um, in our past, our memories of how things happened, of situations and events, and the stories that we tell around them are not who we are. Even they are not our essential nature. If if we woke up today with amnesia and did not know things that happened to us when we were 2 or 12 or 22, we would still be us. I would still be me. I am. But I would have no knowledge of what happened to me because it is not my essential nature. Who I am is right here, right now. I wouldn't have the identification of anything that happened to me previously because it isn't essential to my nature. So, what is the I that is aware of the memories, the thoughts, the sensations, the feelings, the body? So we inquire who is aware, what is aware of this that is going on in my mental, in my mind. So as we practice the idea of uncovering our essential nature, everything that we can take away, body, memories, thoughts, feelings, sensations, we feel ourselves freer and freer. It's like, here I am, without the noise, without the ego, the past, the future, the jar. But I am right here, right now. And then we begin to explore that nature, the nature of I am, the nature of presence or awareness or consciousness. Resting in our essential nature, the I that experiences the body, the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, the memories. Um, it's Well, for me, most often use that analogy of the sky, the open, spacious sky, that the thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories, this sense of separation, it all comes and goes in this spacious sky. Like, some of them feel like, that summer breeze or wind, just soft and sweet, and some are like a category 4 hurricane. That's a wide range of activity and clouds in the sky for sure. But the thing to be aware of in this exercise, if you want to call it that, is that the sky, this is an analogy, of course, but the sky in which those things arise, the whether it's a soft breeze or whether it's a tornado, they never affect the nature of the sky. You know, we can say the sky in this analogy is like the welcoming, open space. It's non judging. It doesn't say, no, you're not allowed here. It doesn't say you have no business being here. Whatever shows up. Again, the soft, wispy breezes, the gentle clouds, or the category 5, whatever's happening, the sky can't say no. And as the sky, it is never affected. The category 4 never leaves a trace. It doesn't rip up the sky, right? It doesn't tear up anything. It doesn't damage the spaciousness, the nature of the sky itself. So its essential nature can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered by anything that comes up into it. And that is who we are. We are that sky, and nothing that we have ever experienced can change the essential nature of who we are, the truth of our being. So, the essence of who we are is this open spaciousness, the eternal beingness. It is that which can observe whatever is coming into the space of I am, and then leaving the space of I am without changing the eternal nature that I am. So, despite the challenges posed by the mental noise and our societal conditioning, our cultural conditioning, we can connect in this way, this very, very simple way with our true selves. We connect in meditation or mindfulness practices, in self inquiry, that's what this would be called, probably, and becoming the observer. We can be the non judgmental, non attached, non resisting, fully accepting presence of what is, and experience, rather than experiencing separation from the ego, from the beliefs that we are separate, we all of a sudden recognize our true nature as oneness, unity, and engaging in these spiritual practices, we can sense and feel our true nature. And in that, the noise of the ego, it dissipates because it's not real. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness doesn't fight with the light even a little bit because the darkness has no substance in and of itself. The reality is the light that is shining. It doesn't, and the light does not compete even a tiny bit with the darkness. It's not even a question. I'm gonna get you, darkness. My mind. So it just is, and we don't have to fight the mental noise. We can be aware of it in this spacious place, and it it takes its place. We're available for the bear in the backyard, or the alligator in the swimming pool. We're available to chase the kids, out of the street, and we don't have the fear, the anxiety, the worry, the constant chatter going on in our mind. We're present with whatever the moment, whatever life is bringing to our life. We're in it, we're present, we're one with it. There's no separation. And there is a deep sense of harmony, flow, not because that's its nature, but because the absence of fear, the absence of anxiety, the absence of the mental noise just feels good. It just feels like this is how it is meant to be. And so it is. It is meant to be that way. Well, I talk about this concept and some of these practices and more in my book, Living Enlightened: The Joy of Integrating Spirit, Mind, and Body. It's available now on Amazon, and the link is below. And you can learn more about me and these practices, the principles that I talk about on my website, elizabethcantey.com, and I do spiritual coaching as well. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and for your questions, your inquiries, your comments. I'm Elizabeth Cantey, and this is Living Enlightened Every Day. Join me each week for a new insight into how we can love our life, live our passion, and fully integrate spirit, mind, and body. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and share it with a friend or on your Facebook page if you found this helpful. Remember to laugh, love, and live enlightened every day.
Thanks for watching. Join us every Thursday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, for Living Enlightened with Elizabeth Cantey. Presented by New Thought Media Network. Join us, ntmedia.org.